What is up, YouTube? So I am recording this for Jave Castle Rush. Jave. I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about though. As you can see here, I already did two runs. This one is pretty simple. The counterattack mechanic might be a bit of a pain for some people, but as you see, I scored about 3 mil. I think they actually put me at like 35. Which is not too bad. Um, Most people are using Taka Rachel. So there's a few different lineups you could do for this, and I'll kind of just explain in this. I'm using Bidam primarily because once again, my Bidam is tier 7, so he'll actually do more. My Taka is only T3, and I have no skill points in him, so just doesn't make sense to use him. You can use Kyle as well still. The only reason people aren't using Kyle is because once again, Kyle's cooldowns are longer, so you can still squeeze out more damage with Taka or even Bidam. Also Taka does get on here if you have it skilled up, he gets a damage nullification for one time, so that also does help him survive, especially when it comes to the counterattack. So you can kind of run any three. I'll kind of show you a couple different ones. So you can do ideally for the most damage. If your Rachel is T6, you can use her as a sub DPS. So you'll run her on like attack gear, Hydra gear, or whatever. If she's not tier 6, then you can like potentially still run her on this gear or even block set. But the main thing is that her this ability is not going to hit 3 enemies. So you're going to need high weakness hit chance in order to hit Yave or Have, whatever the heck it is. So essentially, you want him to get to like that 30% threshold and then use this because yours is going to be single target if it's not tier 6. So you pretty much just want to try to stack as much weakness hit chance on him as possible, and that'll help with that. So another big thing is that'll help with counterattacks is um this ring, if you have any of these rings, so like a chance to inflict blind, if you can throw that on like a couple of your characters depending on how much you have. um I have some. I didn't really see the need for it, but it does help because blind will stop the counterattack. So if you have a few of these rings, just throw them on some characters, and then I would throw them on like your Sieg, Siege. I really don't know how to pronounce half these names, but that'll help as well. So like I said, the biggest changes here would just be depending if your Rachel is T6 or not. Um, that's fine. You're still going to use her. But if she's not, you just want to get high weakness hit chance because this is not going to hit all 3 enemies. If you're using Sieg, like mine is only T3, but he's still pretty like useful. Um, I just have him on block gear. But since his heal scales off attack, like these two pieces are on attack, and then these are on block rate as well, just to help with his tankiness. So he's still at 100% tankiness. You can use that. Now, if you don't have him at all, or you're just not invested in him, then you can still just swap him out for Evan. It's not a big problem. You can still just use Evan in this case, so that's not a problem. Um, and like I said, depending if you use Kyle, Taka, or you can, like I said, you can use Bidam. It's gonna kind of depend on your damage output. But like I said, Kyle can work. It's just his cooldowns are longer. Taka ideally is the best. But like I said, if you have a Bidam or you were just fortunate to pull a few Bidams, you can. So I'll kind of show what this run looks like, and then I'll try to show a run with like Evan and Kyle to show what that looks like, or just Evan in general. I mean, I obviously can't lower my trans level, so I'll just show you guys what it looks like, or just like what a rotation looks like that you can kind of just use as well. So, coming in here, ideally, so Rachel's gonna use that first. If you're using Bidam, you actually want to use the top skill first, because this goes based off the tier 1, so it actually goes off the detonate. So you want to use that first. So when you come in here, you're actually going to use Biscuit, and then apply Rachel S2. Keep in mind, if you are using somebody else, then you're going to use their T1 first. And I'll explain that as well. So, and then here we're going to use this to apply his bleeds, because the way Bidam's S2 works, it detonates the bleed. So if he has no bleeds, it's kind of a waste. So here we're just gonna apply the 3 stack of bleeds. This way, when its ability comes down, we'll at least have the stacks to apply. I also have him on a bleed ring, so there's a chance his basics can apply more stacks as well. We use the S2 for Siege. We're gonna use Yuri to heal up. So now we'll go into this. And ideally, even if you wanted to hold out, like if I just wanted to go into Rachel S2, that's fine as well. And the reason being is that I could wait, let Bidam's S1 come back up, use it again. So I'll get that like more bleed stacks and then go into his S2. And because we have that extra bleed stack to detonate, it's gonna do a lot more damage. So you'll see here. So bang, we just went up to 1.2. We'll use Rachel again. And then you can kind of just see the loop that you kind of make here with the abilities. So Rachel comes up. I'm actually going to go into, I'm going to use Sieg first, then go into this. Just so it lasts a little longer, like an extra turn. So now Bidam's bleed is back up. So as you see, like these cooldowns are all pretty close. For the most part, the turn order isn't gonna matter too much. But like if you wanted to do like Rachel first, then go into this. If you wanted to use these first, then go into Rachel, it's not gonna make the huge difference because all the cooldowns are relatively close. So once again, we use that. I don't know if there's a max amount of stacks or buffs or something. Hold on, because it only applied one. Oh no, there are there. It just doesn't show up. Okay. So we have the 3 stacks. He's gonna detonate them again. Boom. And then now we are gonna have Rachel do our S1. So that's the part I was gonna actually watch out for, and I actually didn't point it out, is that depending on your DPS, they might die. So Bidam's, he has life still in his kit. Sometimes it's enough, sometimes it's not. So I wasn't paying attention there, honestly. So ideally you would probably, before I did that, I should have just used Yuri and healed. I am just gonna res. That's is going to mess up the run. Oh, he just died again anyway. So but ideally you guys would see the point, right? Like we're even at 2.5 and we're only at 60 turns in. So that's just something to keep in mind of. I just wasn't watching it, but I'm gonna show you a different team just because I want to show a different team, because most people are probably not gonna have Bidam, but I did just want to show what that looks like. So I'll just cancel this. So if I go to team, so I'll show with Kyle. So if I put Kyle, so Rachel, I'm still like Rachel's still gonna stay on the same gear, and then I'll show Evan as well. Where's Evan? So once again, like you could just take Evan. I have him on defense gear, block gear, defense gear, and if it's gonna work, if you have any blind rings, you can just throw them on. It's up to you if you want to upgrade or not. I'm just low on gold and I'm too lazy to. But like I said, the chance of having blind helps if you are losing to counterattacks too much. You can throw them on Yui, you can throw them on your biscuit. So like you have like 3 chances to apply it on a basic attack hit. So I'll just show this with Kyle. With this one as well, it's gonna be a little bit, it's also a little bit trickier because this ability scales off low HP. So ideally it's like when you go into the final round, he's not gonna have, it's not gonna be all the way down. So it's you might have to like run through the rotation or just like burn it. I haven't tested this out, so I guess we're actually gonna see. But so ideally, you know, you could start, well, you probably want to start with this just so the cooldown goes in quicker, and then you can just go into that. So Rachel's gonna come in here. I mean, not Rachel. Kyle's gonna use his ability first. Rachel's then gonna use this for the S2. S1. And it didn't finish it, so we're just gonna let the basics finish it. That's fine. Biscuit is then going to use her S1. And this is what I mean. So like Kyle's, it scales off missing HP. Because he's at full health, it's a little tricky because you're not going to really get the full amount of damage due to the fact that he's not going to be missing too much HP. Um, my Rachel is on DPS, which is why I did so much damage. But if your Rachel is not on DPS, that's not going to happen. So just keep that in mind as well. So we did that rotation. I'm going to use Evan's shield once again. So like pretty much you can see it's like almost similar to the same rotation. But because Kyle's cooldowns are a little bit longer, you're probably gonna be like I'm gonna be rotating Rachel's a bit more. So I'm gonna go into the Rachel again. That's fine. So then we're gonna go into. We might go into Kyle. I wonder if this is up. We'll probably just apply the debuff again. No, it's not gonna be. Well, it's pretty close, but we'll just do the Kyle S2 again. Like you can see, like the S2 is still not even up. Like you saw with Bidam and so forth, like the ability was already up, where we were just rotating these cooldowns. So like that's why Kyle is not the sometimes the best because his cooldowns are just too big. And if you're running Kyle, you need another. You're gonna need another DPS. Like I said, Rachel, you can still run on DPS gear. It's just that you're gonna need high weakness hit chance so she doesn't hit the back line with her abilities if she's not at tier 6. So just keep that in mind. So Kyle now goes. He does that. That's still big damage. And our team is still looking pretty healthy here. So we're going to use Rachel again. We're just going to apply this shield here because we have nothing else to use. So you can still score pretty decently. I mean, you can see like you're still not going to hit as much damage, upwards of like that, you know. We probably should hit like 2, at least, I should say. Evan, but like I said, Evan will help your team with sustain pretty healthy. And like I said, if they get low again, then you can just pop into Yui as well. Yui's S1 also gives a physical boost, yeah, about 24%. And I think my Kyle actually died, yeah, he did. So that's actually unfortunate still, but I feel like whenever I run a recording is when they die, because when I'm running these by myself, it never happens. Um, so Rachel, it doesn't really matter if she dies because she has a res. So you don't even have to worry about her if she does. The good thing is that my Kyle's also on a res ring, so even though he died, he's gonna make it to the end regardless. We're just gonna try to squeeze in as much damage as possible. So we actually still finished out at like 2.3. 2.3 with Kyle. So like I said, health is just something you want to watch for. Like I said, especially with the counterattacks. You want to pay attention to it. If you need to skip a damage, go to Evan or go to Yui to heal up or shield, and then just go back to the damage. Try as much as if you're using Kyle, try to use Kyle's abilities as soon as you can, because like I said, the cooldown is pretty long, so you want to get them on cooldown as soon as you can. Rachel's are pretty quick, so you just use them when you can, right? Like after you use Kyle, you just want to try to use Rachel. If your DPS is low, then just heal up. Rachel, like I said, she reses by herself. If you have this, she'll res at 100% plus a little extra weakness hit. But if you're just like I said, once again, no, if your Rachel is not T6, you can still run her on DPS gear, depending on where she's at. You can either run her on crit or Avengers if she's tier 4 and over. But you want to try to get as much weakness hit chance as you can, as close to 100. You can even run the pet if you have it. I think it's this one. Yeah, so like if you have Rachel, I can't pronounce any of these names. You can run that one. I don't remember which one gives you weakness hit for the rare one. No, that's crit damage boost. Crit rate boost. Well, you know, whichever rare pet gives the weakness hit chance, you can use that as well. I accidentally dismantled on my pet, so I may not even have it, to be honest with you. Is it Little Fang? No, I just checked that one. So yeah, so ideally just try to get that as high as possible for the crit rate. And like I said, if you're using Taka, this would actually, I can't show you because mine isn't built. But if you're using Taka, this is the ideal comp. Essentially, well, the ideal comp would be with Sieg. But even if you have a good Taka, but you don't have Sieg, or Siege, that's fine. Evan will still just do what he does, and you'll still have pretty good damage because Taka's abilities are short cooldown, and he just does a lot of damage, right? So depending on where you have him at, this would just be the ideal run, essentially. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I'll try to post a descriptive guide in the description as well. Hopefully that should help with certain things that I pointed out. And yeah, see you guys on the next video.